culture shock can be defined as the feeling of disorientation experienced by someone who is suddenly subjected to an unfamiliar culture, way of life, or set of attitudes. In other words, confusion. To experience culture shock is to experience a profound degree of confusion, especially in the context of traveling, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret about me. I love the feeling of culture shock. That's why I've made so many culture shock videos on my channel, is because I love culture shock. I love stepping off of the plane and realizing that everything in my environment is completely different from what I'm accustomed to. I love the challenge of turning the unfamiliar into the familiar, and I try to subject myself to that feeling as much as I possibly can. That said, traveling is expensive. It's very expensive, so I don't get to experience the feeling nearly as much as I would like. Bearing that in mind, in this video, I'm going to be living vicariously through other Americans who are in Europe, likely for the first time, experiencing their own set of culture shocks. So this first video was posted by ABC News on TikTok, and the caption reads, "Wrong turn. An American family on vacation in Germany drew some bemused stares from locals after they accidentally drove into the city's Marienplatz pedestrian area." American family and pedestrian area, definitely a bad mix off rip. So let's go ahead and see what this is all about.
Look at everybody staring.
Oh, it's okay.
No.
They're not. They're all staring.
Oh no, they are staring directly into their souls.
You said drive through that tunnel right there.
Don't do that.
Drive through the tunnel? Go back the way you came.
Yeah, go back the way you came, please.
Take a left?
Yeah, careful, careful, careful.
I
Yeah,
thought
see,
that
see,
was
see.
weird to have a flower pot in the middle of the road.
Well, I can't get through there. Yeah.
Jesus
Well,
Christ.
I could.
Dad?
Don't,
could.
no, just go the way you came.
No,
No, please, 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 please.
You are
Oh,
not
you
going through
like-
a tunnel.
No, it's right there.
Oh, wait,
Next
that
to the
actually
street.
would have helped.
Okay, so in their defense, to be fair, depending on where they are from in America, we don't really have pedestrian areas like that. I know in Dallas specifically, where I grew up, I don't think I ever saw a plein, which is Dutch for square or plaza, basically. We don't really have those in a lot of America, so it's kind of fair to see some Americans be confused in this sort of situation, but at the same time, you have to be able to kind of read the room and just assess the context of the situation, because, I mean, if you just look, there are no other cars. There are no other cars. That should be your dead giveaway right there. And this man was talking about driving through the tunnel or whatever. I don't know what he was on. Also, to be fair, it kind of looks like the GPS might be leading them through this street. Now, I could be wrong about that. And this is still inexcusable. This is crazy. I'm not going to lie, because a lot of times, at least in the Netherlands, I don't know about in Germany, but in the Netherlands, they have measures in place to make it exceedingly difficult to get your car into an area like this. So they might have the little things, the little concrete barrier sticking out of the ground, or maybe they have the ones that go down into the ground, and at certain times of the day you are allowed to drive through there. This doesn't seem like one of those places. So again, I don't know how they felt like it was okay to do this, but I understand it at the same time, but I also don't. I can't really defend them there. But I do know that all of these people, especially these people who were sitting right here, they were definitely confused. So in the next video, we have this woman here, presumably an American woman, asking, "What about me looks American?" So let's go ahead and see.
I'm an American living in Germany, and somehow when I go out, people always know that I'm from the US or that I speak English. What about my outfit or how I look right now screams American? Please tell me.
Okay, so right off the bat, I would say it's less about her outfit and more about her demeanor. Her demeanor is definitely very American. She seems very bubbly, and that seems like more of an American trait. I didn't realize any of this, by the way, until I went to Europe, and I realized that people there just carry themselves differently. That said, as far as the outfit goes, I would say this top probably makes her look American. I'm no fashion expert, by the way, but I feel like people in Europe definitely wear darker colors than this. At least in the Netherlands, people in the Netherlands definitely favor darker colors. I like darker colors too. I literally only wear black and white. But this kind of light green type color, I didn't really see that a whole lot. But I would say it's probably just more her energy in general. But let's go ahead and keep watching to see if there are any more tells.
I feel like I'm blending in. It's super hot here today. I just walked. This is all my groceries. I brought my...
I know this is gonna sound weird, but kind of the way she's standing throughout this video, I feel like American girls have this specific stance that they adhere to that I never really saw in Europe either. Maybe it's more open body language. That might be what it is. I feel like her body language seems a lot more open than your average European.
Got my own bag. I bought a soda, sunglasses. I do wear my AirPods. Is that weird? Maybe it's AirPods. How do people know? This happens to me all the time. And I can speak German, so I don't know why they immediately start talking to me in English. It's so crazy. Also, I live in a...
She's so American. It's dope that she can speak German though, but she's so American. Even using the word so in the way that she just used it, and I guess the way that I just used it, it's so crazy. That's definitely a very American thing.
In a small town in Germany. It's not like I'm in Berlin or Munich where everybody speaks English. This is a small-ish city. Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, if you're European, then definitely comment below what the giveaway is, because again, I think it's the energy, which is primarily conveyed through the body language, along with maybe the bright top. I also maybe feel like American girls tend to wear more revealing clothing. I remember that's something that my girlfriend Nadia pointed out the first time she visited me in America. She said the girls, they're dressed kind of, I don't want to use the exact term that she used, but she wasn't lying. There was not a single lie told that day. Not saying that this girl right here is dressing in that way, but just that European girls don't generally wear such revealing clothing, probably because the weather there is just a lot cooler. But yeah, if you're European, definitely comment below what gives it away about her, aside from her energy, if there's anything with her outfit. Now, the next video is... This one thing is so irritating to me as an American in the Netherlands. So I already know this one right here is going to ruffle some feathers. He looks like he's fed up. And this is definitely the Netherlands. I feel like in the Netherlands, this is a very common scene. You have the fence, you have the shed in the back of the house that always has this kind of roofing for some reason. I guess that's for the rain to flow off the top or something like that. Looks like you maybe have some solar panels. You have the attic window. This is a very Dutch scene, so I'm curious to see what he is so irritated about.
I gotta talk about something here. I gotta bring this up. As an American, this is one thing I don't really like about the Netherlands. It's pretty annoying. Unawareness, lack of feel, situational awareness, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how many times I've been to the grocery store and I'm sitting there pushing my cart around, and then the people in front of me, they're just stopped in the middle of an aisle. Not even to the side to let me through, but in the middle of an aisle looking at something or talking to someone with no regard for anyone else around them. This happens at the grocery store when you're pushing a cart. This happens when you're walking around, maybe at a market. People will just go and, oh yeah, like they're the only people in the world that exist. Have some freaking awareness. There's other people around you that are trying to do the things. I like to do things at a quick pace. I like to get things done. Might think this, ties to you. Do something about it.
That's kind of interesting because I feel like it's actually the opposite. I feel like in America, people are a lot less considerate of other people in those public settings. Granted, I think it might be more a function of Dutch supermarkets and Dutch public spaces being smaller in general, but I never really felt like Dutch people weren't courteous. And even if somebody was in the middle of the aisle and they were stopped looking at groceries, you could simply say, hey, pardon, or oh, excuse me. You can even say it in English. They'll understand what you mean. So I don't really understand why this is such a big deal. I mean, hey, He has a right to his opinion and everything, but I'm curious to know what part of the Netherlands he lives in, because the parts that I lived in Brabant and Gelderland, that was never a thing. That was never something that I encountered, and this kind of applied to every single situation. So when it came to cycling, or even if, let's say for example, I was on a bike lane and there was a group of people in front of me all riding side by side. That did happen a few times, especially with children. All I would do was ring the bell, ring ring, and they would disperse. They would move, they would part the way for me to pass through. Never any friction, never any trouble. So, I don't know. I don't know where he's getting this from, but again, my experience definitely doesn't corroborate anything that he just said. Now, this next video appears to be yet another frustrated American in Europe talking about how European doors make no sense. So, for context, I believe he's in Belgium. He said the doors don't make sense, I'm sorry, so he doubled down. Let's see what he's talking about here.
I'm an American who moved to Belgium, and the doors here are not only dangerous, but they also make zero sense. I'm gonna show you.
So this is the door closing, okay, into the apartment. There's no...
Before we go any further, I can tell this is an older apartment. I can tell just by the way that framing looks, just by the way this door looks, I can tell this is probably a very old apartment, which is common in Europe, by the way.
No twist lock. So every time you have to come and put the key, twist to lock, right? Okay. In the US, normally you just have a double bolt, so you don't need your key at all, and you just twist. Okay. Here's why.
Okay, actually, this is something that was characteristic of both of the places I stayed at in the Netherlands. You definitely had to use a key from the inside, and I was probably equally as confused about that as he is in this video. Now, the explanation that I personally saw that made the most sense to me, because I did raise this point in a video, and I saw at least 1 or 2 people comment that this is to prevent people from just reaching in your door through the little mail slot and unlocking your door. That makes a lot of sense. In this case, it doesn't seem like he has a mail slot. So if I had to guess, this is probably just a cost-cutting measure. It's probably just cheaper to make the doors this way. And again, this probably is a very old apartment. And you can also kind of tell from the flooring right there, this is an old place. But yeah, that confused the hell out of me as well, because my initial thought was this is a fire hazard. If you're locked in your house and that door is your only exit and the key is on the other side of the fire, you're basically done for. I mean, you could jump out of a window, but that was my initial thought. And maybe there is some credence to that, but I also think that might just be my American mind thinking about the worst case scenario. I don't know. Let's see more of what he's talking about though.
Here's why it's dangerous. Let's say that I leave, okay? I'm leaving for goodbye, okay? I shut the door and I lock it. And my girlfriend or someone else is still in the apartment. They are now locked in. They're locked in because if it's locked on this side, if it's locked on the outside, then they're literally stuck. If there's a fire, if there's an emergency, if you don't have a key, then you're fucked. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's no logic, and I don't know how that's not like a safety hazard. Because when you leave for the day, let's say I go to lock the door from the outside, I can always just unlock it from the inside and get out. But here, if you live with more than one person, everyone needs to have their keys on them pretty much at all times in case anything goes awry. So that's my beef with Belgian doors. So
I mean, again, he kind of has a point about the safety hazard thing, but I don't really agree when it comes to everyone just needing their own key because of that door. In my opinion, everyone should have their own key and carry it with them regardless, because, I mean, if you're going to leave your apartment, unless there's an emergency, but if you're just going to leave the apartment casually, you're probably going to lock the door after you leave if you value your belongings. So I don't really understand that part all that much, but let me see what some of these comments are saying. How is it not logic for you guys to give each person a set of keys? Now, yeah, again, I agree with that right there. I agree that you can just go and get a key copied for very, very cheap and you're good. That's why you always leave a key in the keyhole. everyone on the inside can get out fast if there's an emergency, and you can't pick the lock from the outside. That's a good point that I forgot about. So when you put a key in the keyhole, basically nobody can open the door. They can't even unlock it from the outside. So in a situation like this, where you don't have that mail slot in the door, because I guess you're in an apartment, it does make a lot of sense to do it that way.